Alrighty, welcome back to Daily Day Trades YouTube, where we go over the trades that we made today and why, and the things to look out for tomorrow. If you want to get these videos every day, then please subscribe to the channel. It also helps a lot if you were to drop a like on the video. We are looking to break our like record, which I believe is 17, a whopping number that it's going to be hard to beat, but we'll try. Every single day we try. On today's agenda, we are going through how I found all of the plays that we made this week, why the ones worked, why the ones didn't. We're just going to go through everything that we did, kind of a little educational video, but also kind of focusing on how to start trading on your own successfully. Maybe use some of the strategies that I employ when I'm trading, or at least, see what I'm looking at, and then when you're looking at something, you'll be able to take a quick second and recognize whether or not that is a good or bad idea, managing risk, all of that good stuff. Without further ado, we had Netflix 7-1-170 puts at 119. This was on Monday, and we were just using the VWAP here as we always do. As you can see, I have the VWAP set up here as a normal one, so all of the default settings that you would have on a VWAP, that is what I have, but then I also have a standard deviation away from that VWAP. So that's a statistical number. It is important in a lot of things, but I kind of like it just in a general sense of seeing when something is excessively far out of a certain range. So I don't actually use that standard deviation out very much, which would be this top and bottom line. But I do like to keep it there just to see if things are acting typically or if they're trading out of a certain range that is, kind of a statistical anomaly. So on this one, we ended up picking up the puts about right here when they failed to break the VWAP here. It went up and it got denied pretty aggressively, and so I snagged them somewhere around this general area. I think it was actually on this candle, but it ended up coming right back up and then back down again. That was more confirmation for me. I thought it was working out pretty great. I ended up holding on to them a little bit too long. The gain here was, maybe 15%. It wasn't anything to write home about. So I did let it test the VWAP again because I was hoping for another run down to finish the day, because as you can see, there was a lot of time left in the day at the time. I ended up keeping them. They went up here, so I sold them for a loss just about, not too long after I purchased them. Shortly after, we bought some XLE calls. XLE is an energy ETF that is composed of things like ExxonMobil, so the biggest energy companies in the world, or I guess just in America. That's what makes it up. It's a little more stable than just buying one call on XOM or whatever you're doing, or BP, any of those. So I like playing XLE. Little bitty moves in there can actually return pretty well. The spreads are always very, very small, so you can market order everything. XLE is definitely my go-to oil play. You'll see me do that a lot when you're on the Discord. We got that around here. We weren't really that concerned about the price at the time. The daily chart was more important in this instance. It was this day right here, and this was not really a key level by any means. I mean, you can see that it did break through there and then come back up. I wasn't really necessarily paying attention to that. It was more of a macroeconomic decision. So at this point in time, China was opening back up, which is one of the highest consumers of oil next to the United States. And so oil had been going down with China just not being as active as they usually would be. So, that's less demand, less oil, and there's a lot of news that comes out on oil that you can read through, and it's a relatively simple thing to play in a lot of situations. That goes for a lot of commodities, but there are also tons of people who trade commodities. So there's a lot of speculation. So we got it here. That was fine. The next day, as you can see here, we got an immediate gap up pre-market, and then it ran up even further after that. If you go to the 5-minute chart here, we can see that run up. Let's see if my memory serves me correctly. This is it right here. So the first 30 minutes or so, it ran up. Even though the play was 2 weeks out, that ended up giving us 80% on that play. Now, this might seem a little premature because there was 2 weeks left on the contract, so I could have ran that out a little bit more, but when you're up that much, you might as well take some profits, and I didn't spend as much as I really wanted to on that play. I wanted to see some confirmation to average up or down, but it just shot up fast enough to give us that profits pretty much, immediately. It was the next day, even though we were probably going to plan on holding that for longer, and when the market just kind of hands you money, just take it and run before someone else takes it away. So, and it's a good thing that we did, because as you can see later on in the week, That run did not continue. We didn't even break the levels that we sold it at on Tuesday. And I sold the rest of those later for a loss. The play ended up making money altogether, but the second half of those was a loss. So the only reason that that play made money was because I took those profits so early, literally within 30 minutes of the next day. Sometimes I do sell stuff really early, and I know sometimes you guys end up making like 300% on a play that I sold for 50% or something. This is the reason I do it though, because I've had so many of these situations happen where everything looks great, everything is fine, and then you end up with a play that loses money, and then you sit there and think, wow, why didn't I just take some money while I could and kept it a little bit safer so I could buy more Chipotle. Next up was a day trade with Pfizer calls. Okay, now that I'm talking about it, I remember why I did it. This is why I did it right here. You see this just almost perfect 45-degree angle, very, very consistently doing well. I picked it up here thinking that it would be a continuation of this trend, and that would put us somewhere up here if it were to just get back on that number there. That didn't work out. That's okay. We ended up selling that one for a loss. It wasn't a lot. I don't remember exactly how much I lost. I think it was about 15% probably, because I did hold it a little longer than I typically would, just because the uptrend was so strong. Then I made a very risky play on SPY. This was on Tuesday. So we got the SPY 380 puts for 121. They expired the next day. So obviously when something expires the next day, then you're going to want to take profits as soon as possible. We did end up taking profits on this. I bought them around here. I sold them down around here. That ended up being a pretty good spot to sell. We got 57%, even though it wasn't that big of a move. It's just such a short-term expiration that we were able to make that relatively quickly. Then on Wednesday, we had a live stream. If you have not been in attendance for the live streams, I recommend it. I keep them pretty short, try to just get to the point and make as many trades that I can. I got this Robinhood strangle, and this is just a bank on Robinhood having excessive volatility in the future. I think this should be really good. There is talk of an acquisition coming up, which was what this big candle was for here. I don't think that's going to happen, honestly. I'm pretty sure it's like a crypto firm that was thinking about buying them, or at least buying a stake in them. But if you go back to these contracts from the strangle that I got, I didn't even pay $100 for that one. Didn't even pay 30 for that one. I'm also just now realizing I did not put my strike price. I will double check my portfolio and reply to this comment on the Discord, and then I'll tell you which strikes that I got. Either way, I think one of two things will happen here. Either Robinhood will get some good news that spikes them up. They have a lot of room to get back up there to not their IPO price, because they were priced absolutely insanely. I'll make a video about IPOs actually, so you can kind of see if something is being priced terribly wrong. As you can see, they were priced horribly wrong, which is why they look like this. But as they've gotten down here around $10, it's become a little bit more reasonable, and I think either they get some good news, they pop up here a little bit, or they return right back down here to this bottom. We have a lot of time on that play though, so I really have not even paying attention to it. I'm just going to let it happen and see what goes down. Then we had some Nike puts, which originally was a day trade. They had earnings recently, so we picked them up. There really wasn't a big technical aspect of this. They beat on pretty much all the criteria that they needed to, and then their guidance was not what people wanted it to be. And I think there's a lot of fear in the retail sector, so they did end up getting pushed down pretty hard. I'm not exactly sure where we got this. Okay, I double checked the timestamps on my trades. We got it about right here, so it was not a quick journey down, and then it gapped down in the morning the next day. So it was supposed to be a day trade, and it just really didn't move very much, but it wasn't showing very much strength either, so there was no problem with just keeping it. Sold all but one of those the next day for a little bit over 100%. That was a really good play. That was one of the better trades we had this week, if not the best, but I also didn't spend a crazy amount on it. Then I got some shop puts. This was just a pure momentum play. It was just going down, and I wanted to hop in and get in on the down business. So this was Thursday. They expired Friday. I was being really careful with it. Just didn't want to get stuck in something that expires tomorrow. I did talk to someone who was up over 50% on this play yesterday, and I'm assuming today they came away with at least 200% or so. Then today, Full Send Friday. This is something where we buy options that expire on the exact same day. It can either go really, really well or not so great. It's just a matter of managing risk. It can happen to where you get stuck in something like this. I personally keep my stops pretty tight and make sure that that does not happen. The CVS play here was really just about the fact that I have watched CVS a lot, and a lot of the sketchy days that we have in the overall market, CVS still ends up doing pretty well. As you can see here on the daily chart, they're not nearly as beat up as most companies. They're holding really strong. And then if you go into the 5-minute chart, they just showed like a ton of weakness this morning. And I thought that was really weird and thought that, if that's happening right now, then I assume it will continue for at least a little bit. So I picked some up about right here. They kind of spiked up in the morning. Got 93 puts for $72, and then I sold them for 120 about what is that, 30 minutes later. So we got almost 100% on just going from here to here. But keep in mind, you can also lose about 100% on the same move if it were to go the wrong way. So keep your stops tight on those for sure. Also, if you are not a member of the group, there is a link in the description that will take you to the premium part of the Discord. It is currently $29 right now, and we have a specific channel that is guaranteed to provide $29 worth of plays every single month, just to make sure that at the very, very least that ROI is flat zero. Obviously, we would like it to be more like 10,000%. We can't guarantee that, but I can guarantee that we'll make $29 on this channel right here every single month. Hope to see more people on there soon. Thank you very much for the people that have signed up recently from YouTube. I have not used YouTube very much historically because these videos do take a long time to make, but I do appreciate you guys joining, and I will make more videos as time goes on. All right, that's all I got. Have a safe 4th of July this weekend. Be sure to thank some veterans for putting their lives out there for us to be able to sit around on a lake and drink beer all day and celebrate America. If you're not from America, that's fine too. We still love you. Y'all have a good weekend.